Hey guys, West Virginia Hillbilly Bobby here, and this video is my first thoroughly researched video, and it is born out of a long night of research, and it's an issue that has died off a little bit as far as it being reported and so forth. For a while, the sex offender phenomenon, which I call it, just plastered us with these terrible reports about strangers abducting or molesting children. And are these the facts? Is this what's really happening? And this issue concerned me due to a personal experience of knowing a victim when I was young, and also my thorough distrust of media reporting, and from a young age. And I credit Frank Zappa for that. He has a song called "The Slime," which is a song about what comes out of our TV. And there's also a song he has called "More Trouble Every Day." Wrote it very, very early. Again, it's about the sensationalization of media reporting. So I have lots of stuff written down here. So I will be down here looking with my glasses on because I want to get the facts across. All right. What are the facts? Let me start with basic statistics concerning child pedophilia victims, and this is not intended to be a definitive nor authoritative video on the subject. It's just another view, mine, which is based on research, and I also will reference the sources that I obtained the information from. Okay, let's start out. Percentages. Let's talk about percentages, and these percentages come from the Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Statistics, and contrary to media reports, the so-called stranger danger profile given to pedophiles, 90% know their attacker. Only 10% are abused by strangers, and 30% are family members, and that rises to 50% if the victims are under 6, and then 60% are a trusted family member. So I hope you see right away that what the media has been feeding us is wrong, and I'll touch on that toward the end of the video. Why does the media do that, and why do they want to frighten us, and why do we like being frightened? Because I mean, come on, horror movies probably gross more than or historically have grossed more than family-friendly movies, family-oriented movies with violence and stuff. That they attract more people. Why is that? All right, let's move on to the next here. It also says here that same reference. No, I'm sorry. This information comes from the Journal of the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry. Okay, it says most adolescent offenders don't continue to offend, and that they're more they respond better to treatment. And not all offenders of any age meet the established pedophilia criteria. This type of offender that doesn't meet the criteria, they're referred to as what's called a situational offender, and they're often acting out of some sort of stress or crisis, possibly even drug or alcohol addictions, and most often than not, the victims are family. And 70% of situational offenders victims are between the ages of 1 and 9, and 20% are between the ages 10 to 40. It's kind of interesting to note that those percentages, 70 and 20, only add up to 90. What's the other 10%? What's that all about? So, let's see. Let's move right along here. All right. So I hope I've established a sort of a profile with reliable sources on the real statistics of child offenses, child sex offenses, and just a small profile of the offender. So let's move on to the media misinformation. Okay. And these references come from the Oxford Index, which I meant to look them up and see who they are, but I believe very strongly they are a recognized, reliable source of information. The media loves to report sensational crimes, a small number of crimes. And you know you've heard the saying probably, if it bleeds, it leads. Probably the most important, relevant news stories that should be reported wind up on the editing room floor or in the trash can. And again, the media, like I guess all of us, we're driven by money. We want to make money, and when it comes to the media, they want to increase viewership. They want to attract viewers. I mean, how many times have you heard this from the media? You heard it here first. Or like Frank Zappa says, no one blabs it faster. And exclusive, only here on this news channel, and so we're live. We have reporters live at the scene. Just sensationalizing, like, oh man, I gotta watch this. But and then when it comes to sex offenses, the media very, very wrongly creates this stranger danger phenomenon. And this is my own personal view of it, and I think it's probably shared with a lot of people, that you don't see children out playing much anymore like when I was young. I'm 61. We didn't have a care in the world. Be in by dark. Our parents said we didn't have cell phones. We couldn't immediately contact someone if something was going on. But we were taught, at least I was, that don't talk to strangers. Do not go anywhere with them. Don't take anything from them. Just get away from them. It's a stranger. You don't have any business talking to them. And so, but there's also the fact that this misinformation of the stranger attacker is being taught to children, it's generated in them a high level of fear of people, and that's, I don't know what the real damage to that child is. They obviously will become very suspicious, which in many ways is good, because I'm on some dating sites, and I don't care how real a person looks, I investigate him. I professionally investigate him I investigate him with professional investigative services online. So the idea that there's a stranger lurking in the park and that kind of thing is false. It is false. Do those kinds of crimes occur? Absolutely. Most often they are exhibitionist type crimes, because most kids will not go anywhere with a stranger. You know, some of the tactics that pedophiles use, I'll go into that in another video. That's something I didn't want to, I meant to say early in this video that pedophile grooming techniques and that kind of stuff, what their tactics for luring children away, I'll get to that in another video. I primarily wanted to focus on what are the real facts the media is reporting of misinformation, and why the hell do we like to get scared about shit, you know? Okay, let's see what else I got here. And here's my references. Very nice and neatly done, but they are, guys, are real, and like I said, I'm giving the sources. Okay, the stranger danger phenomenon in media reporting. The Oxford Index, very thorough report. It was a very, very good report. They referred to something that's called the law of opposites, which basically is the media reports are often directly opposed, opposite to the facts. You know, why is that? Because you know what that is? That's lying. The media is lying to us more often than not. And like I said, that's fueled by trying to get increased viewership, which will increase sponsorship, which will increase money. That's just the way it is. And I like to tell it the way it is. Okay. Let's see. And also, they tap into society's fascination, particularly with violent sex crimes, and even more particular when those crimes are against children. And if it's a well-known child, then it's even more so. You remember the Ramsey case. I'm trying to remember the young girl's first name. I remember the mother's name, Paula Ramsey, and was it, I don't know, Patricia Ramsey, something like that. But the young girl, that case was sensationalized for months, if I remember. And then there was those brothers in California that claimed they were abused by their parents, who are now in prison, and who are now famous. And who the media likes to report. And there's numerous other cases, but that's not important to what my point here. All right, I'm going to move right into our fascination with that stuff. And why do we like to be frightened, guys? The reference here comes from Margie Keir. She is a PhD, a socialist, and PhD socialism, and she's the author of Scream: Chilling Adventures in the Science of Fear. Historically, communities have created monsters, dragons, phantoms, vampires, werewolves, ghosts, you know, the list goes on and on. And part of the reason for that, and I don't have a referenced resource here, this is based on, like I mentioned earlier, my very, very young identification that the media is reporting stuff to make us scared. Why do we like to be scared? And what I've discovered then was that having a common enemy bonds a community. You know, it's something that everybody can get behind and agree on and bond together. A modern day version of that is terrorism, which absolutely is a real thing, but is a little bit over-reported, and there's been some knee-jerk reactions to it. Because one thing I've wondered, and I'll research this, probably do a video on it, is why there haven't been more attacks on U.S. soil. I mean, gosh, 911, that probably takes up for all the ones that didn't happen. But you know, there have been some, and you know, the so-called home homegrown terrorists, however they say it, those kind of attacks, the mass shootings, school shootings, those are all acts of terrorism, but they're not from traditional terrorists, the Middle Eastern, Islamic extremist type terrorism. Any incident that's meant to cause mass fear, in my opinion, is a terroristic act. So it bonds us together, and but according to Dr. Kerr, we get pleasure. We get pleasure, bodily pleasure. It's real. It's based on science, and what that comes from is different neurotransmitters and hormones that generate chemicals that basically arouse us, and because it's the fight or flight syndrome. We fight, we're aroused. I mean, we fear, we flee. We're in fear and we're aroused. But this is part of our sympathetic nervous system. But the idea of being frightened, I guess people could say that it may have some sort of positive, there might be some sort of benefit to it. I mean, obviously, the fear in us does cause us to react and to immediately figure out how to get away from a situation, a frightening situation. Me personally, I'm not a goody two shoes. You can watch my other videos and see that, but I will not allow any violent images, real or fake. I will not deliberately allow them into my mind, into my brain. And the reason for that is I don't have any need for that. Why do I want to look at images of bodies that were shot and cut up? Or, YouTube, my God, the internet, you can go there and watch people getting their head cut off. You can watch murders, suicides, and you know what? People watch that stuff. They love to watch that stuff. Why, man? Why? Guys, please listen very carefully to me. Why are we doing this to ourselves? Why, when a violent movie comes out that has a PG rating or above, why do parents take their children to those movies? Is it because the parents want to watch them and don't want to get a babysitter? Come on, what's the real reason? Why are we so orgasmic over violence? And because I tell you guys, if you believe for a second that that's not damaging to you or to your children or to us as a society, you're wrong. It's very damaging, and we tend to criticize some other cultures for their reserve and for their modesty. Where they have their women covered up and they don't drink drugs and all that. And they were hard on drugs. Death penalty in some countries, from what I understand, for even drug possession, but drug dealing. So, and we criticize those cultures, man. Come on. I want to do another video. I keep saying I got almost 500 ideas now. But I want to kind of get to where these are actual real events, but real concerns, pertinent topics. And this is certainly one of them, because the topic I'm referring to is the decline of morals in this country, and the transition from traditional values to alternative. I hate the term New Age, but I guess that would probably make you understand what I'm saying. The new value, the new morals, and a lot of that's fueled by this homosexual community pressing, trying to force that evil stuff into our minds and force us to accept their behavior. The homosexual person themselves, I don't have a problem with that, just like I don't have a problem with anyone else who has issues, because, I mean, I've had a lot of issues myself in my life. So it doesn't have anything to do with condemning the person. It's the behavior. And guys, this country is really, really suffering. Do you wonder why those more reserved countries hate us? You wonder why they want to kill us? Death to Americans is the well-known chant of Iranian people. Not all of them, of course, but... And then, the vicious attacks, 911, I mean, my goodness, I cannot imagine anyone not being affected by that and hurt deeply by that and filled with rage and anger behind that. So, I guess I think it's about it. Normally I will share the gospel, but I'm actually feeling I'm not feeling too good right now, because this is very important for us to get under control and return our society